tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on, so we'll get right to it. First of all, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jason.
Crandall.
Yes.
Greenaway.
Yes.
Sarda.
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes.
Sternquist.
Yes.
All right, agenda is approved as presented. Moving on, approval of the minutes from the March school board meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 13th regular school board meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Sarda.
Yes.
Sternquist.
Yes.
Crandall.
Yes.
Greenaway.
Yes.
Kiefer.
All right, perfect. Or yes, minutes are approved. Moving on to the conflict of interest. Does any board member have any direct or indirect conflict of interest to disclose? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Crandall.
Yes.
Sarda.
Yes.
Greenaway.
Yes.
Sternquist.
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes. All right, Mr. Beets, any public comment or anyone registered?
No, we did not have anybody.
All right, we have some exciting news. I will turn it, Shireen Gerber is here, and who wants to do a little, say a little, or introduce her? Dr. Kendall or Jason or any board member, so.
So we had a hiring committee put together, and there are several of those people here. Sarah was on there, I was on there, Kathy was on there, Jerome was on there, Melanie was on there, and then we had Lori Ross from the business office. We also had Rob Taylor from maintenance, building and ground, and then we had Laura from food service. And we conducted interviews. We had a good visit about the candidates, and we decided the person that we wanted to come to Yankton is sitting right there. And so I'm gonna let her introduce herself and welcome.
Hi, my name is Shireen. I'm a business manager right now, currently in Armour, South Dakota. I've been there for 12 years. I'm 14 years ago from Colorado, and just made this my hometown. I'm looking forward to moving to Yankton, being part of the community. And I have a son still at the house. I have 2 girls that are in college, and then my husband. So we're looking to move here and just make it home. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. A little nervous right now, but I'm excited. So I'm excited for the changes and the new stuff I'm going to learn. So, but thank you for giving me the opportunity.
When you say you have a son at the house, how old is he?
It's what?
How old is your son at the
Oh,
house?
he'll be a freshman. He's going to be going into high school this year, so
Okay.
that'll be perfect.
I have a son at the house too, but he's 26.
22-year-old and a 20-year-old. So yeah. 14 tomorrow, so he'll be 14 tomorrow. So, yes. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure to meet you, and we look forward to working with you.
I do too. Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome aboard. Yep. All right, we have met Shireen, and we've offered her the contract, so I will entertain a motion to approve her contract.
Make a motion to approve the contract for Shireen Gerber, effective July 1st, 2023.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jason.
Sternquist.
Yes.
Greenaway.
Yes.
Sarda.
Yes.
Crandall.
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes.
All right, see you guys.
Congratulations.
We said June.
All right, exciting news. So yes, moving on. Now we have our good news and student achievement. We have Mr. Plemish and Mr. D. Oh, Jerome is on his way.
Good evening, school board. In case you drive by Stewart Elementary or in a few weeks Beetle Elementary, you'll see some banners out on the side of the school that look similar to what you see on your screens right now. And we wanted to share a little bit of information about some of the new ways we're communicating at the elementary, moving on to middle school and even high school with kids who have issues with communication. So I'd like to introduce Casey Michaels, and she has a real passion for communication and devices, and we want her to share some information about what we're doing and what she's doing And tomorrow morning, she will be sharing with Beetle staff. She's already shared with Stewart, and we have some other schools on the list too. All right, Casey Michael.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Casey Michael, and as Jerome so kindly introduced me, and again, I work for the middle and the high school, and today I'm going to talk to you about a project that I've been working on to increase connection and communication with our complex communication learners. And you can kind of see the title of the project is, it's pronounced accessibility, but the first 3 letters are AAC, and you'll see those, or keep that in mind as we go through. So we're gonna start with a word game. That's what everyone wants at the beginning of a board meeting, is a word game. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys a prompt, and it's just fill in the blank. So people and any responses are happily welcomed. So people who need help to see, use glasses, great. People who need help to walk, use canes, or yes, walker, wheelchair, very good. People who need help to hear, use a hearing aid, good. People who struggle using stairs, use a elevator, yep, or a ramp, very good. And then people who need help speaking, use, any guesses? I know you can answer. Well, I will take a, what's that? Hands, good. That's part of it actually. So, Cody, what were you, or Mr. Lucas, what were you gonna say? AAC, yep. So, AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, and like we were talking about the mention of hands, it's any way that we can communicate besides talking. And I don't know if you are aware, but we all use AAC every day, whether it's through using our facial expressions or gestures or email, text, sending emojis, but we can also communicate in various different ways. And what I am talking about specifically today are our complex communicators. A lot of times we see our students who use speech generating devices or apps and or iPads with applications on them. And today I'm just going to be talking about a strategy that we're implementing at the school level. So some issues that ignited and still feed my passion for augmentative and alternative communication is that with this population, you know, we struggle with access because they do get these devices, but then a lot of times they either end up in a cabinet or they end up, you know, not making it to school. A lot of our educators too don't really know how to implement them effectively, and you know, it's a teaching process. And I'll kind of give you some food for thought here. How many of you, either yourselves or have a child who have taken piano lessons? Yes, I see some hands raised here. So think of implementing AAC as giving a student who's never seen or read music or, you know, laid their fingers on a keyboard and expect them in a week to play at a piano recital. That's kind of what we get when we give a student a device. We kind of expect them to independently know that, but there are steps in teaching that needs to take place prior to that. And so also, one thing that, you know, as educators too, we run into is the lack of time. You know, the traditional method of speech language pathology is, you know, you pull your kid out and you work on them and then you bring them back into the classroom. But what we've been finding is that with only those small speech sessions, 1 or 2 times, maybe even 3 times a week, is that it will take 84 years for our students to master their systems, and so we just don't have that time. So what we have, some solutions that our field is moving toward is again, providing access, and you saw the board that I used at the beginning of the presentation. So that is a communication tool to help bridge those communication gaps. And what we've been doing is providing access to teachers and providing them with either small boards like this, where they can have something like that in their classroom, or a larger poster size. And a lot of these boards are free, and the only costs that we see with them are printing, laminating, and sticking them up on the wall. But it's a very cost-effective way to provide research and evidence-based instruction. Also, our department, and just as a career or vocation in general, is that we're switching from more of the pull-out speech therapy method and providing more coaching and education for educators and staff and community to build the connection and communication with these complex learners. And so what I have been doing is just kind of planting some seeds with providing staff with communication boards, but also working on creating video content that's bite-sized, because I mean, as much as we love long videos, we're not really in the realm to listen to all that sometimes. So I try to keep videos under 10 minutes or so, but then staff and students, or staff and educators can listen and re-watch those videos. And then also just providing a more in-class support to provide those natural language opportunities within the classroom, and showing that communication is more than we're just requesting. So again, briefly, this is a communication board. There are lots of variations and ways to implement these, but they, they're color-coded. These are high-frequency vocabulary for our educators that we use to communicate about 80% of our messages throughout the day. It doesn't have everything that we want to communicate on it. However, it gives us a good place to start, because a lot of the places that, like when I started, students, and granted it wasn't even that long ago, but a lot of things have changed since then. Giving a student access to maybe only 4 symbols. Well, if you only had 4 words to communicate throughout your day, could you do your day as effectively? Right? So we're giving them more access to visual language and immersing them in that. So this is what it looks like, and I can't tell you just how thankful I am for the opportunity here. I've been working in Rapid for the last 8-9 years, and just having the opportunity to present this information with you guys and the staff it means a lot. And so here's just some pictures of what this looks like in action. So again, I provided our general teachers with just a basic communication board, but for our office staff and nursing staff and Officer Olson, they have their own dedicated boards with content-specific things on that, so then in the event that they come across our students who need that support, they have that there. And then I did want to shout out to Stewart Elementary, because their PTA purchased a playground communication board to help with communication on the playground, because that's where kids learn, is through play. So, and basically, really all that this is pointing to words as you're speaking, and it doesn't have to be, very long or perfect, but it helps a lot. And so what we're, with some outcomes, that we're seeing in our students is that it's providing access, so they can access the curriculum. It's immersing them in a language that they can, it takes the pressure off of them to speak, whether they have a neurological, physiological, or structural issue where they can't. This takes the pressure off of them, but still allows them to get their wants and needs met. It allows our educators and staff to do, even if a little part, be a part of their students' communication. And we will see more generalization and progress of our students' communication skills. It promotes inclusion. Actually, just a quick little anecdote here, but we have a student at the high school who uses a communication device, and his peers are just, they are fighting tooth and nail on who gets to model words for him during our speech time. And so they just really want to connect with their students and their friends. And also it promotes independence and, self-advocacy, just because these are the students that need it the most. And again, thank you so much for letting me come up here and visit with you. And if you have any further questions, I know my time is limited, but please feel free to reach out. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Excellent, thank you, appreciate it.
I just
Mr. D.
wanted to sneak in here, sorry Franny, to share a win at the middle school. A month ago, we had an IEP meeting, and one of the eighth grade parents, a nonverbal student, shared with us that her child used the device, the help of Casey, to call her mom for the first time. So that was kind of neat. Yep, in 14 years of age, so called her mom. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you for sharing that, that's fantastic.
I'm gonna add a little bit on this as well, because this is Michael, this is just something that's been a really fantastic step for us to communicate. And like I said, you could customize those. I think there's a couple of them out there that have Mr. D with the picture on there. And so that's, yeah, I feel pretty proud about that as well. So, all right, good evening.
Do you have a mustache?
Yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty much like a lot of those up there.
I'm gonna say which one?
Well, good evening. Springtime of the year, it's exciting, but there are a lot of things that are going on. And just tonight, just want to talk to you a little bit about just a few of the things that we have going on at the high school level. Last Tuesday, we had an outstanding event with a partnership with the school district, Department of Labor, Yankton Thrive, and the River Rocks Event Center as well. And it was something that we got together with our internship senior students, around 90 students, to work and collaborate with our business owners in town. They did a mock interview mania where it was really like speed dating, going around and interviewing with various businesses and corporations in town. A fantastic event. We had students that walked away with offers for jobs, for summer, for many, many different opportunities. And then also too about just connections about coming back home to Yankton when they're finished with their schooling or wherever that leads. With that as well, then we had a little program that we had where we had a panel and some speakers that just did a fantastic job. Talked a little bit about the things that we do within our internship programs, the connections that have to be made, and the things where we have student successes, and then also business successes as well. And those are just things that we are really, really proud of. And that was something great that Yankton could show during their week of work, which was last week. So thanks to all those people involved, and it was just a fantastic event. We look forward to continuing to model something like that in the future as well, to continue doing that each year for our internship students. Moving on, just a couple of little things that we have that are going on, just to keep updated. This morning and this afternoon, we had the YHS Theater full of 1st through 5th graders for a morning matinee and an afternoon matinee of the Frozen Junior musical performance directed by Amy Miner. This performance will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday at 7 o'clock for the public. It's an hour and 15 minutes, and it is phenomenal. The work and the dedication and the talents of our students are not comparable probably to anybody else. It is fantastic. Everybody that's involved with that, you know, we have many kids, and it's not just the students that are involved within the production. We have a fine arts department that's working. They made a poster, as you probably remember walking down the mall and seeing the movie Now Showing poster in the mall. We created our own with the students' names, and we're gonna sign that. We're gonna start a little tradition back in our theater area there that we post our musical and those productions up there just for some memories of the things that we're doing. So we're really excited about that, and I would encourage the public to get out and attend this performance. It is fantastic, and it's an hour and 15 minutes long, and you will not be disappointed. Also today, we have a little track meet going on over here. Williams Field is up and going. Coach Gross, we have about 130 athletes at the high school level that are out for track. So they're up and going with that, and it's been the first outdoor meet. We also got softball up and running last week. A little chilly Tuesday night. We opened up the home season with that. Our first game, then we had another game on Thursday. Got the win, got a couple, I think I seen a couple home runs, and so forth like that. So congratulations, and Coach Jill Muth, congratulations to her. She stepped up, she's taken control, done a fantastic job as the leader of our softball program. And you know, there's always, when you start something new, there's always little different challenges that come to play. She's done a fantastic job, so congrats to them. And then last, but certainly not least, we have a little event coming up in the next, not this weekend, but next weekend with YHS Prom. So we will have, we're excited for that. We're excited for getting our kids signed up. We're excited for just the many things that go. Our Grand March will start at 7:30 in the main gym. Our doors will open at 6 o'clock for our guests. We want to make sure we have everybody lined up and ready to go. We'll have some of those things taken care of. We'll have a little dance afterwards. And then, you know, in order to have an after prom party, you have to have a phenomenal group of people that are working together. And I know that there's tens of thousands of dollars that are raised by our after prom group each and every year. And they do a phenomenal job hosting a great after prom. So our students will have the opportunities to do that. And the after prom parties at Yankton Middle School. Our dance would be in our commons, and then our Grand March is gonna be right in the main gym. So we're excited about that. We got a lot of things going on, but we're gonna keep it moving, and I'll open it up for any questions or comments on any of those things.
Well, I mean, I have a 17-year-old son who has a countdown for prom, so.
Oh, that's good.
So this is the slow time at the high school itself.
Yeah. We had a week right after state basketball, and it wasn't a lot of events, but it's rare and rolling right now, so.
Any questions or comments from Mr. B?
I have a comment. You probably don't know how lucky you are because our new business manager has experience with prom.
I did hear that. And I also talked about this one sitting here, how come he's never helped out?
I've been in meetings, I don't know, busy.
No, just to comment on a few of those things, I heard in the community from students and employers about the internship, that it was a great experience for everyone. Frozen, I know Ms. Miner always does a phenomenal job of getting so many people involved in that production. And I've also heard a couple softball players who haven't played for a couple of years who are interested in going back out. So I think Coach Muth is doing a great job of getting some excitement for that. So lots of exciting things going on. All right, moving on to number 9, the teacher contract. We had representatives from the school district and YEA that met. Dr. Kindle, if you want to say a few words, and then Sarah and Kathy as well as the board representatives.
Well, I just thought the process went really well. We were done in one evening, and tonight we have a contract before you. And so I'll turn it over to Kathy and Sarah.
I think our takeaway, it was a good interaction with YEA and staff, and I think what we really wanted to let them know is just how much we appreciate the teachers, and that when we have it in our budget, we will reward them with what we have, and that's important to us, that we're not trying to go in and try to cut in any way to kind of put more and pad more money in other budgets, and it's important to us that we do have and we maintain our stature as far as where we are ranking and those kind of things. And so I hope that always comes up as an appreciation, and I hope that teachers really see how much we do appreciate them, and compensation is just one of those ways we do that.
All right, perfect. I will entertain a motion then.
I make a motion to approve the teacher contract.
Second?
Motion and a second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sorta,
Yes.
Greenaway,
Yes.
Sternquist,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes. All right, the master contract is approved. Moving on to the teacher contracts. Any comments or questions from anyone before we approve those?
Make a motion to approve the teacher contracts as listed. Second?
Motion and a second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sternquist,
Yes.
Greenaway,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Sorta,
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes, 2023-24 teacher contracts are approved as presented. Moving on, the Early Childhood Development Center, which we won't be calling it much longer. Mrs. Rankin.
Good evening. So we just seem to go from one committee of this project to the next committee. So as I was driving over tonight, I was thinking, how many committees have we gone through? And I might be off a little, but I think we're on 6 or 7 already. And one thing that Dr. Kindle has really guided me especially on is that we've been real cognizant of involving different people every time. So whether that be different parents, different school board members, different staff members, community members, I think that's one thing that we can kind of tout that we've done throughout this whole process. So we're just, gearing up for, I think, all of the real exciting stuff now. So our architects have been guiding us incredibly well and have advised us that here's your next step. And even Jason has said, like, we have to start calling it something, so instead of this big mouthful. So our committee we made up a committee of, Franny is representing the school board, a couple of parents, a couple early childhood teachers, Nicole is on there, and then I'm on there as well. So we met and we set criteria statements. So we really wanted to involve the community because maybe there's a gem of an idea out there that somebody has tucked away that they think would be perfect for this. And really, let's think about it. Like, how often do you name a brand new building? So we wanted to get ideas. So our committee came up with criteria statements, and our architects kind of helped us along that. And that's sort of what our other committees have been like as well, just sort of funnel down, so to speak, the answers. So you probably have seen the criteria statements. We focused around 6 main topics, I would say. Timelessness, we don't want it to be something that's maybe fad-ish for the time. Inclusivity, we want, to promote diversity, equity, including everyone. Clarity, this was a big one and it makes sense. We have to consider the age of the kids who are going to attend, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds. So we want them to be able to say the name of their school easily. Where do you go to school? We want them to be able to say that easily. Relevance, we want it to perhaps match the design of the building, plus definitely the age of the building as well, since it's not an elementary school building. We want it to be unique. It should be different. And then we did decide that it should not include somebody's name. So out of respect to everyone, that it should not include someone's name. So we have that process open right now, so you can click on the link right on the website. You can submit your idea. Someone could submit it anonymously if they wanted, but we're asking for their name and contact information. I think as of this morning, there were low 60-ish submissions already, Kelly said. So that will last through the 22nd. We will get all of those entries, take off the person's name who submitted them for our committee so that we're not biased to any. And then our committee will rank them individually. We're gonna gather back together and then we'll make a final recommendation for the name. So that's where we are right now. Any questions or?
I just have a comment, Melanie. So I did the radio show this morning for the board agenda, and Jeff Erickson told me, I already heard the winning name.
Oh, I'm
He wouldn't
interested.
tell me.
I'm very interested.
Yeah, me too.
But along with this, we should also add a little note that the groundbreaking event will be next Thursday out at the site at 11 a.m. So the community is invited. We're busy making plans for that and ordering a perfect day from Mother Nature to go along with that. No wind, 70 degrees, all that good stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Nicole with our, I was gonna say curriculum, but not yet, curriculum and technologies.
Yes, all kinds of good news tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so my share tonight is about Title I reading and math interventionists. To give you a little update on how they've been doing this year. As you recall, we added the 4 math interventionists this year, as well as a reading coach and a math coach. So I wanted to share with you what they've been working on. So to get started, the sheer number of students that these teachers have been able to support this year is beyond amazing. We have 5 title reading interventionists and 4 math. In title, we've supported nearly 320 students already this year. In math, we've supported 260 students. I went through the students we've supported, and about 150 have been supported in both reading and math. So we do support them in both areas if the need arises. The duration and the frequency of that support is really dependent on the need of the students. So our interventionists do a lot of progress monitoring and collecting data to ensure that the students are receiving adequate support to help them to grow. Also, the interventionists do push into classrooms as well, and that's how we're able to support that sheer number of students. So not only are we supporting very large numbers within our intervention, our interventionists are also reaching out to families on a regular basis. Both math and reading do a monthly newsletter that we send out to parents, as well as lots of ongoing communication through notes home, phone calls, conferences, those types of things. Along with that, we also do a lot of professional development together. This year, the Title I reading teachers, along with our reading coach, have been taking LETTERS training. LETTERS is an acronym that stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. And it's a comprehensive professional learning that's designed to promote early childhood and elementary educators and administrators with the deep knowledge to be literacy and language experts in the science of reading. With that, they also meet with Dr. Sally Krauser from TIE on a monthly basis to unpack their learning that they're doing with LETTERS. Our math interventionists and our math coach have been doing a lot of different professional development opportunities as well. We are using a curriculum called Bridges Intervention Math Curriculum, and they've done training on that. They've also attended math circles, which they've come and shared with you about. They've done a virtual math summit where we watch different webinars and different videos about math learning. And currently we are working on a book study that we've opened up to all of our classroom teachers as well, called Building Mathematical Classrooms. So with the numbers, with the parents, and with the professional development, it doesn't end there. So the interventionists are also working on promoting some outreach to our staff. So the math interventionists, along with the math coach, have hosted 2 different sets of math camps for our teachers, which they focus on strategies that promote mathematical thinking. Our Title I reading interventionists are currently working on a family literacy night that we are collaborating with the Yankton Community Library on. That will be hosted on May 11th from 5 to 7. We're finalizing the details and some more will come out about that. And then lastly, our interventionists are now co-collaborating for the end of the year here, and we are doing a book study called WIN. And WIN is an acronym that stands for What I Need. One of the challenges that we've encountered this year is scheduling. You know, to be able to promote or to be able to support that number of students, plus the students that are doing both reading and math intervention, as well as not taking them out of core content learning so that they're still receiving grade level instructions. We've had a very challenging time with our schedules because we're always, their groups are always being flexible. And so we are using some knowledge from other school districts in this book study to see if this is an opportunity that might help us with our scheduling as a possible solution. So our group is also doing that book study right now as we wrap up the year. So lots of things happening with our interventionists. Any questions?
No, that's fantastic. It's a great program. Thanks for the update on it. Any other questions or comments from board members? We'll keep you up there and we'll move on to the CTE instructional materials. You presented on this last month and we've had the materials available.
Yep, took my first 2 lines. So at the March board meeting, I presented the recommendations from the CTE committee for instructional materials. They have been budgeted in the 22-23 school year with implementation for next year. The amount of the recommended purchase for everything was close to $175,000. The resources have been available for the public here at the administration building, as well as there was a link online under the curriculum tab on the website. And so with that, the feedback that we received has been positive, and no, I don't have any further questions unless you do, so I would recommend the approval and the adoption of the presented instructional materials to be implemented in the 23-24 school year for CTE.
And Nicole, you received no negative feedback?
No.
Any comments or questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended CTE instructional materials.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Sternquist,
Yes.
Greenaway,
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Sorda,
Yes.
Kiefer.
Yes, CTE materials are approved. Moving on next, we have a first reading of the rental and use of facilities policy amendment. Jason, would you like to lead the discussion and present it to us?
You bet, I can make a few comments here. This is an annual thing that we do. Normally we start the process in May with first reading, and it's traditionally only a fee rental schedule change, you know, of the fees associated with all the spaces throughout the school. As you know, for the last several months, we've been working with the city discussing the Summit Activity Center operations, and one of the things that we've come to the realization and we're mutually agreeable with is our approach to having schools rented on holidays. It's been a real challenge over the years. I think everybody can appreciate, you know, how hard it is to find staff, and especially staff to forego a holiday, a paid holiday, you know, with their families or be able to travel out of town and forego that and come in and rent, you know, work a rental, especially a rental that maybe they've had plans in place and then the facility request comes in and they have to cancel their plans. And, you know, specifically that happens to our custodial staff most frequently, and sometimes our maintenance staff and food service staff to some extent, but you know, it's an area of concern, and we've been working with the city and talking about, you know, how do we approach this, what can we do to make this better for everybody. And so both entities have come to the consensus to recommend policy change. So I've drafted that into our rental policy, that we will simply not have rentals on those observed holidays and certain conjoining dates. And so by that, what we're gonna do is collectively work together with the city and get that word out to some of the recurring renters, you know, those that every year you've got your event or a series of events, and just communicate that with them. And that's not to say they can't rent the facilities, we're just not gonna make them available on those dates. And I think in fairness to those groups, they need to know that well in advance. And in fairness to our staff, I've talked to several that are affected by this, and the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, that it's time that we do this. And you know, it's a good thing for the employees, and it's gonna be something that, as long as we communicate it well in advance, we're certainly willing to work with people on rentals. And you know, we know it's a school first, and specifically speaking about that high school, and we all know how busy that building is. It's a school first, and then we slot in other things for the community use when we can, and when the space is available. Sometimes people don't get the date they want. Sometimes they want to book, you know, a year or two in advance, which is really difficult to do because, again, our schedules have to come first, and that's kind of an annualized, you know, process that has a cycle to it. So our recommendation that you've noted, you know, I called it out with additional language, is that we would have a published listing of those dates. And I'm specifically speaking about the school observed holidays, such as Easter weekend would be, you know, a conjunction weekend, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving weekend, you know, times that people, our staff, want to be with their families or potentially be out of town. And then other holidays, you know, we wouldn't have the conjunction dates, such as Veterans Day. We would close on Veterans Day, close to rentals. I want to be crystal clear about that. There may be times when we have school. If it's not a school observed holiday, it wouldn't be applicable. So that's kind of the tie-in here, is that our employees wouldn't be scheduled to work on the school observed holiday. As you know, our school staff supports the rental functions throughout the district, and you know, there's limited city staff that are affected by that. So we're lockstep together on this, in agreement with this recommendation. The city will take it up as a first and only reading of the May 8th date. So that'll be your second reading, and then the theory is we would move in tandem to make that policy effective July 1st.
The city's had a first reading already?
No, they will have. The commissioners have been briefed with that. You know, this is what we're thinking, this is where the direction we'd like to go. Plenty of time for feedback, you know, for both the city side and the school side. And then we've already scheduled a meeting shortly after that May date to collaborate as, you know, the first line of people that take those requests. We're gonna have to, you know, put a plan together for how are we gonna communicate, articulate this change. And we think it'll go fine. I mean, there may be some that don't get their date, you know, that have to go off of their traditional date, but they'll start a new tradition, you know, with a different date. And we're confident that we can make that work and make it work for everybody.
Is there an online option for school facility rentals?
There's an online process to it, and you'll recall, you know, during COVID, we shut down rentals for a period, and in anticipation, when we came back and made that available, there were a lot of, I'll call them backlogged, you know, hey, we want to have a rental, we want to do it, you know, and it was just kind of a flood of requests. So we made a web form, and Lori Rust in my office does a great job. She collaborates with the city staff. So there's like an intake form, and then that puts a date stamp on it. And we don't always have people that are available to drop what they're doing and talk about a rental that's gonna take place in 8 months. So, you know, it's like, hey, we've got your request, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. There's a lot of internal communications that take place, not only with Ryan Moore's, you know, with scheduling, but with head custodians and event support staff, that a lot of collaboration. And once we get back to them, then there's typically a meeting that occurs with big renters, because some of these wrestling tournaments and Hanson Haas and the other big Yankton draws, I mean, that's a lot of people, and it's a full day event, sometimes 2 days, as you know. Lots of coordination, but yes,
I'm
there's
trying to
a
envision
process.
the online process. Is there like a calendar where people can click on the date, or not quite that sophisticated yet?
Well, we make the school scheduled activities visible to the public. We do not, we have the software that would enable rentals like you're suggesting. The process then becomes a little bit convoluted because you almost have too many people in the same space trying to navigate for the, you know, it's like, so we say, hey, put your request in, somebody will be in touch with you and work together to, you know, find the appropriate time, the appropriate space that fits your event and what you're trying to do. Some of that is strictly held at the Summit Center in the theater. That would facilitate through the city staff. If it's through any other school building, that initiates through my office. And if it's a big event, like a tournament that requires a lot of support people, then there's a meeting, a face-to-face meeting with, all the parties, and Byron Williams is kind of our point person on that for event setup and coordination. Then he pulls back and brings information back to us with whenever there's input needed, but.
How is summer hiatus affected by this policy?
Summer hiatus in what way?
Well, summer vacation. We have breaks for cleaning floors and such.
Well,
do we still do rentals in the summertime?
yes, we do, and we have a lot of requests. We get some unique requests from time to time that there's like, organization wants to have a conference, and boy, we'd sure like to have it at the high school. We'd have classroom space, we'd have commons space, we'd have vendor space, we've had various things like that. And we do make that available, but we've got to the point where, first and foremost, we have a limited window to do building maintenance. So we do blackouts. We black out the areas that need to be blacked out so we can get the vendors in, or the contractors in to do the work. So that's the first priority. And then we work around that. And sometimes when there's gym requests, Ryan Morris has a master schedule with all the teams and the summer camps. So that's the first priority before renters, and then everything else slots in. So we typically don't take new reservations, new requests until after July 1st. And by that time, we're midway through that summer process. We know what our schedule's going to be. So we've got a good system and it's working.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Crandall? Nope, perfect. This will give us a month to hear from community and answer any questions, so that is a first reading. Any other questions or comments? All right, next is the FMLA amendment, a first reading. We had this revised in 2018, but there's just a few clarifications. Jason, have you been working?
Yeah, I've been working with Sheila Woodward on this, and FMLA is a very complicated law, and it seems there's no two scenarios that are exactly the same. So the policy in itself is still very relevant and on point. The clarifications that we've found since that 2018 rewrite were mainly putting together a form that actually the employee can use and point to and fill out that says, I want to designate this request as leave under FMLA. Not every leave is by definition an FMLA entitled leave, and then there's actually a determination that needs to be made. So this policy is just a couple of language cleanup items along with implementation of a form.
Perfect. And this is a first reading as well. Any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming.